A lot of players tend to forget or outright ignore to farm the Sinner's Sacrifice machines, and that's a huge mistake, as they can provide permanent buffs to your character and a significant amount of souls. We created this guide to break down how they work, why you should almost never ignore them, and at the end we will even teach you how to farm them with maximum efficiency and show you a few tricks to mess with your opponents. So let's get to it. At minute 8, the Sinner's Sacrifice slot machines spawn around the map. These machines can only be damaged by melee attacks, and in return for pain, they reward you with gain. If the machine has not been interacted with yet, the lights on top play this looping animation in addition to playing a jingle. Once the Sinner's Sacrifice has been damaged, the lights on top show you how much damage has been done to it already, counting down from the right to left. A heavy melee shuts off 2 light bulbs, while a light melee shuts off 1. Destroying a slot machine happens in 2 phases, the breaking phase and the jackpot phase. To break the machine and initiate the jackpot phase, the machine has to be hit with 4 heavy melee hits or 8 light attacks, or with a combination of the 2. During this phase, the machine retaliates by dealing 80 damage for every melee hit it takes, whether it's a light or heavy melee punch. This adds up to 320 damage when finishing it with heavy melees and 640 damage when done with light melees. For this reason, it's almost always preferable to use heavy melee attacks when farming Sinners, especially since it will take about the same amount of time anyways. Once the machine enters the jackpot phase, the Sinner's Sacrifice starts a looping 3-second timing minigame. Its lights start to turn on from left to right, accompanied by a sequence of 8 audio cues indicating when it will be fully lit. If your final melee hit lands while all the lights are lit, you'll receive permanent buffs for your hero. These buffs are the same as the ones you receive from the golden statues and are selected at random. The number of buffs you gain depends on how you finish the machine. Ending it with a light melee grants only a single buff, while finishing it with a heavy melee grants 4 buffs. Hitting the machine in the jackpot phase will not deal damage to you. The amount of souls the Sinner's Sacrifice holds changes throughout the match. Its value starts out at 310 at the beginning of the match, before it even spawns, and increases by 3.35 souls per minute, which brings the total value of the slot machine to 336 souls at minute 8 when they first spawn. This makes farming Sinner's Sacrifice locations very efficient, since they provide you with a lot more souls than other camps at this stage of the game. And they become even more valuable when you factor in the permanent buffs. If you'd like a full breakdown of the soul values for all the different camps and lane troopers over the course of the game, let us know in the comments. Roughly 40% of the machine's total souls come from the hits during the breaking phase. This means that a light melee grants about 5% of the total souls, while a heavy melee grants about 10%, with both values rounded to the nearest whole number. The final hit during the jackpot phase grants the remaining 60% of the payout. Hitting a jackpot also adds 1 bonus soul to the final payout. After every hit on the Sinner's Sacrifice, a soul appears just like when last hitting a trooper. This soul can be denied, reducing the souls you would have gained from that hit to 0, while the enemy receives the full value of that hit as secured souls. If multiple players hit the machine, the payout is evenly distributed amongst everyone who contributed. If there's a remainder after the split, the extra soul goes to the most recent attacker. The souls gained from farming Sinner's Sacrifice machines are unsecured souls, just like those from other jungle camps. There's a total of 12 Sinner's Sacrifice machines on the map, with 6 located on each team's side. Each location with a slot machine is marked on the minimap with this icon. The machines spawn in 3 different setups. One setup with machines on their own. 3 of these are present on the map found here, here, and here. One hybrid setup with 1 machine and 2 medium denizens can be found over here. And finally this setup, a hybrid camp with 2 machines and 1 medium denizen found at this location, often called the casino. The locations and setups are mirrored and flipped on the other half of the map as displayed here. After being destroyed, Sinner's Sacrifice machines respawn after 5 minutes. For hybrid camps to respawn, both the machine and all accompanying denizens must be fully cleared. Now that we shed some light on how these mysterious slot machines work, let's start with our first trick. As we have talked about earlier, successfully finishing the jackpot minigame with a heavy melee grants you 4 buffs instead of 1. To do this consistently, you just need to observe the lights on top of the machine. Once the 3rd light from the right begins to turn on, you have to charge your heavy melee and swing away. This guarantees you get the 4 buffs every time. The Jackpot minigame runs on the global game timer and is the same for every Sinner's Sacrifice on the map. Because of this, we can use another technique to predict the timing of the final melee hit before the minigame even starts. If your first heavy melee lands on a multiple of 3 seconds on the timer, you can simply hold your melee button from that first hit onward and consistently land the heavy melee at the correct buff timing. When practiced, this can be very useful during games because you don't need to focus on the lights and the timing anymore. This frees you up to look at the minimap and make decisions on where to go next. This next trick lets you farm the casino, the house with 2 machines inside, without really having to worry about the timing to gain all the buffs as well. You can just enter the camp, hit the first slot machine once, then kill the neutral enemy. After doing this, just move on to the Sinner's Sacrifice that has not been hit yet and bring it into the jackpot phase. If you hit the timing on this slot machine correctly, you can simply keep holding your melee button, move back to the first Sinner's Sacrifice and continue heavy meleeing. Doing this will consistently grant you the full buffs on both of the machines. Even more time to look at the minimap or plan your next moves. Now that we covered how to farm the Sinner's Sacrifice machines efficiently, let's look at a few ways to annoy your enemies. As mentioned earlier, the soul that appears and floats off the machine when it's hit can be denied. Use this to your advantage when you see an enemy going for slot machines and deny them their souls while they have to suffer the retaliation damage. Since heavy meleeing Sinners is the most efficient way, most people do this without really thinking about it. If you're near an enemy hero farming a Sinners, you can capitalize on this by trying to sneak up on them, getting in front of the machine and using your parry. While the enemy is stunned, you can steal their machine or just beat them up, your choice. Another neat little trick uses the fact that the Sinner's Sacrifice machines have no real collision hitbox. This enables you to hide inside the machine on some heroes. You can use this to surprise your enemies and get a parry off on them. This technique is rather niche and more of a way to fool your enemies, but it is still quite funny. We hope you got a better understanding of how the Sinner's Sacrifice machines work and can now step up your farming game. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for our upcoming guide videos. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you all in the next one.